If there's anything that the COVID-19 global pandemic has taught us, then it has to be that anything can happen at any time, and having an emergency fund will be a very useful option for you. During a time when the pandemic was at its peak, the whole world literally shut down, with everyone having to stay indoors mostly, and as such, people couldn't go to work and businesses collapsed. Even in the aftermath of the pandemic, those companies that had closed down before went fully into remote work, with some workers also losing their jobs. It was surely a tough period, and what would have made it even worse was if you didn't have any savings or income stream during that period. An emergency fund puts you ahead of all these types of unforeseen events and ensures that you've got some money stashed somewhere for when you'll have an emergency. Well, in today's video, we'll show you everything you need to know concerning an emergency fund, as well as where to park it. Stay tuned! If you're new to the channel, well, this is Lavish Luxury. And if you've not already taken the action, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And let's get you going with some of the best luxury and finance content you can think of. Now, let's head back to what we have for you today. Now, the first question you'll want to ask is, what is an emergency fund? Well, just like you must have guessed, or even something you can deduce from the name, an emergency fund is that money that you set aside to cover you during some of life's unexpected events. Sometimes, it is even commonly referred to as a rainy day fund. And well, that's what it's for. It's for the rainy days. Not literally though, you know what I mean. An emergency fund, just like I've mentioned, puts you ahead of any unforeseen or unexpected events that might come up. You just might never know, and it's just always good to know that you've got somewhere to run to in cases like that. In simple terms, you need an emergency fund because you don't have an idea of what's going to happen anytime. It's one of the luxuries of life that you don't have, and that's why planning is the best. Emergency funds have been around for quite a long time, and even many financial planners advise you to add it to your portfolio because anything could happen at any time, and you best not be caught unawares. Emergency funds became even more popular following the COVID-19 pandemic, where things were really hard for most people who had no savings to turn to because all they depended on was from their work income. With the concept of emergency funds now becoming even clearer to you, you might then be asking yourself, how much do I need to save for my emergency fund? The answer to this is quite simple, and that is, there is no particular amount or figure that is ideal or not. The thing is, you don't know how much you'll need in the future. While this might be a tricky situation, there is a way you can determine how much you'll save, or let's say, there's a strategy that can help you to determine how much you'll save for your emergency fund. It is usually advised that you start off with at least $1,000 per month, and then save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. If you can afford more than that as time goes on, you can increase it over time. The duration of your savings can, however, be different. If you have a stable income, then it only means that you'll need less in your emergency funds. On the contrary, if you don't have a stable income, it would be advised to save more and for an even longer time. Next up is, how do you build an emergency fund? Building an emergency fund is pretty easier than you'd imagine. It all starts with discipline. You need to set up a savings goal and then commit to it monthly. If you don't save, there's absolutely no way you'd have an emergency fund to run to in your time of need. Consistency is key, and setting aside a few bucks to save for the rainy days wouldn't hurt your income or earning. You'd be grateful you made that decision, and you'd also be impressed at how quickly your savings would grow. After you must have set the goal and you've kept up with it, you might want to then look at the possibility of increasing how much you choose to save. During the course of saving, you might get a few extra sources of income, either from a side gig or a promotion, and it would only be wise to add up some of that money to your emergency fund. Now we've talked about how much to save and even how to build for your emergency funds, but where does this money go? Or where do you park your emergency funds? Regardless of what you think about this, You need to know that your emergency funds need to be in a place that can be accessed swiftly. You don't want to put your money in a place where you'd still have to go through some rigorous processes before you can take out your money. With such, it defeats the goal of what an emergency fund is all about. It is for emergency situations, and as such, should be made available for withdrawal immediately, as a matter of urgency, at a time when it's needed. With all that said, there are a number of options that represent the best places to park your emergency funds, and they include: Number 1. A high-yield savings bank account. Just like the name sounds, a high-yield savings account is a type of account that allows you to receive a higher interest rate on your money than you'd normally get from a traditional bank account. And as such, you get some extra returns on your money, which can also be withdrawn when you need the money. There are several online banks that offer these kinds of accounts, and while it would be a good option, you should also consider doing your homework before opening the account. You should look out for things like withdrawal rules, benefits, and also rates that come with using the account. Number 2. A money market account that comes with a debit card or check writing privileges. This kind of account is pretty similar to a high-yield savings account, except that it usually requires a larger minimum deposit to open. And it also comes with the option of getting a debit card, unlike with a high-yield savings account where you'll have to transfer your money to another account first before getting access to it. They also let you get some more returns on your money than traditional banks, and these kinds of accounts can be opened at most local banks as well as online banks. Again, before fully committing your funds into this account, you should be aware of the withdrawal process and how fast you can be able to get your funds when you need it. This will make a lot of sense so that you don't have to start going through any crazy processes when it's time to withdraw your money. Number 3. Certificate of deposit. Unlike other options mentioned so far, the certificate of deposit option is quite strict, and it involves locking up your money in a specific account and then taking it out after a specified agreed time. In a case where you want to withdraw before the maturity date, you'll be required to pay a flat fee or a percentage of the interest you've earned there. This might be tricky judging by the fact that you're not exactly expecting to lose any part of your emergency fund, and you were instead hoping to even increase it. But well, this is just how it works. Such accounts can be opened at almost all local banks, with some online banks also offering the chance to open a certificate of deposit account. Number 4. A traditional bank account. This is pretty much a straightforward option, and it's just like putting money into your normal savings account. You'll earn almost nothing in interest, but you'll have the money available for withdrawal whenever you need it. The only problem, though, is that you could have too much access to it, and then you end up withdrawing from it when there's no emergency. Number 5. Roth Individual Retirement Account. This is another way through which you invest your emergency funds. Good thing is, you'll be able to earn substantially more than with any of the options on the list. Bad thing, though, is that your money could lose value in the Roth IRA. Withdrawal is available at any time, though it can come with tax implications as well as early withdrawal penalties. The good thing about all these options is that they not only allow you to get the money out quickly as soon as you need it, but they also let you have some returns on the money after a while of keeping it in the accounts. To add to these options, there is also the option of investing part of it in liquid mutual funds that invest only in money market securities. This comes with a low risk, and it also allows you to get your money when you need it. As a bit of a last resort, you can decide to also keep the cash with you, though this isn't exactly a safe option. The need for an emergency fund cannot be overemphasized, and you should not hesitate building one. Do you have an emergency fund? Or would you like to share your experiences without one? Kindly respond in the comments section, and don't forget to like this video, and also subscribe to the channel, as well as turn on the notification bell button. We'll see you in the next video.